Hey guys, it's your girl 𝒫���𝓇𝓅𝓈𝓁 with Passion as a Verb. And I am here with another Rest in Grace collaboration series video. Sometimes I go live with these and other times I pre-record a message. But I wanted to do this particular topic live because I feel it's best as a discussion versus me just giving my idea of what it should be. So you guys know when I go live, what I want you to do is introduce yourself, say where you're coming from so I know who's in the room and who I'm talking to. But today's topic is about your attitude. Whatever, what? Girl say what? Bye, Felicia. All that kind of stuff. All the attitudes that we all have. And this goes for males or females. What's up, Tanya? How are you? Hey, Elizabeth. And so today I wanted to talk a little bit about our attitudes. So again, for those who are just coming in, this is part of my Rest in Grace series that I have that is a year-long collaboration. And this video was supposed to be posted at the beginning of March. But I've been crazy busy. And that's another reason why I decided to go live so that I didn't have to pre-record and do all that editing just to get it up. Because I have a different video posting right now. Well, two different videos, one for Tanya, who's actually on here right now, that are loading. So I thought I'd quickly jump on and see if we can't chit chat a little bit about our attitudes. So typically when you think of March going into April, what is it you think about? Spring. And then when you think about spring, what is the one thing of spring you think about that feels more like a chore and not as amazing as spring is? Yeah, you guessed it. Spring cleaning. The dreaded things of having a house or an apartment, but you have to spring clean everything that's in it. You know, you want to get it all redone. Sometimes people redecorate or change the colors in their house to feel fresh like the spring. But what I don't want us to forget is to spring clean and check our attitudes, because it can affect what should be a cheerful, fun part of the summer. You know, vacations, family time, a break, fun in the sun, all these kinds of things. And all of those things can be totally ruined with a bad freaking attitude. So I kind of want to have just a little quick conversation. Let's just talk about attitude real quick. So for my replay viewers, please do leave your comments and your remarks in the comment section so that everyone who's coming to this video can see everybody's side of things and not just mine. So the main thing that I wanted to kind of talk about with attitude is that there are two parts of an attitude. There is the perception attitude and the intention attitude. So basically it's what is perceived and what is intended. And we have to check both, because sometimes, and most of the times, they are not in alignment with each other. And in this today's world where everything is such or almost solely based on technology, it is killing communication and the true form of communication, in the sense that you can feel all the senses. So right now you're able to see and hear me, right? See and hear, but you can't touch. But if this was just an audio recording, the only sense you can count on is just your hearing, because you wouldn't be able to see me. And so digitally, when we try and do communication through emojis or just through a picture, we're not able to use a lot of our senses to really grasp what that message is we're trying to say. So if you're just reading what somebody said, you can't hear the tone that they're using. You can't see the way their body language was writing that text. And you just have a picture that you may or may not interpret as what the words say. So we have to be so much more careful in today's generation in the way that we communicate, because the way we communicate can be perceived in the wrong way and not in the way we intended. It can cause some negativity, some attitudes, and a whole bunch of other things. So that's one thing I want to talk about. The other one I want to talk about is your aura and your surroundings. You know, what's that saying that you attract what you put out, right? So if you're just noticing there's a whole bunch of negativity around you, you might want to look in the mirror and kind of figure out what it is internally you haven't dealt with within yourself first to start detracting from all that negative that is around you. Because it is really true. You want to only keep people around you that are headed in the same direction that you're headed, or who are already there, that are willing to kind of help you get where you're going. If you keep yourself surrounded with people that aren't driven, aren't passionate, don't have goals in life, living the oh, woe is me life, and all that kind of stuff, well, then that's what's going to end up directly or indirectly going into your soul and going into your mindset. And before you know it, you're speaking the same way as them. You're having behavior the same way as them. You're having reactions the exact same way as them. And so you can't catch an attitude with somebody else when internally that's what you're putting out. That's what they're perceiving, whether that was your intention or not. So first I want to talk about the intention part of an attitude. I have been in a situation for the last couple of weeks where this is loud and true, and I'm not going to put out names because, again, like I said, we want to watch our attitudes. However, I'm going to try and say this as surface level as I can to not give out any clues. But long story short, due to social media and what I said, when you can't hear the tone of someone's voice, and all you can do is see the word choice that they used. The way this person was speaking to me, myself and others I'm close to that saw the same thing, all perceived it in a very negative kind of way. Now, the person who stated these statements, in their mind, they intended it to not be negative, to not be unconcerning, and to not be insensitive. However, the comment was all of those things and more, to where it started to become a reflection of this person's personality, and everything we started seeing coming from this person afterwards reflected that same kind of negative connotation. Although this person would consistently post that they're all for people, they're selfless, they would never harm someone in the situation, they're extremely 100% understanding, and it just seemed like what they're saying they are and they're intending is a total contradiction to what is being perceived. So it's so important that you have to pretty much daily check yourself and your attitude before you go out, so that the way people are perceiving what you're saying or doing is the way you intended for it to come out. We all make mistakes and slip up happen, and we say things we don't really mean, and you can't ever take words back. But when it starts to become kind of a consistent thing, that's when you need to check what is really going on. And it's not just what you say, but it's your reaction to things. If you act like you're shocked, if you act like you're surprised, if you do that whole rolling your neck thing, if you snap like what, or like, or all these things that are body language, it puts out an antenna of what people are going to perceive. And so you have to not only intend to do something, you have to previously think of the perception of how people can take it. Now, is there any way you can keep the entire world happy? Absolutely not. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about being likable to everyone. What I'm talking about is being true to yourself and realizing who yourself is. So let's use myself as an example. Many of you have commented on many of my videos saying that I'm always smiling. I always have a great attitude. I have a great perspective on life. And it's just like, go, 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 go. Right, because that's what I'm showing you guys in front of the camera. Now, that is mainly who I am. However, there are things that I've had to grown out of and to develop. Growing up, I was extremely gullible and extremely emotionally sensitive. So I would snap back at people all the time. So it was perceived that I always had this bad attitude, because to me, I didn't have a bad attitude. I was expressing the hurt that I received because I was extremely emotionally sensitive. But my body language and the words I chose to speak perceived that I had an attitude. And again, I'll use myself as an example. A recent situation that I had with my fiance, in where I kind of grabbed something from the past that I used to do and pulled it into the present, which I should not have done. But, you know, sometimes it's hard to let go of some things. And it creeped itself back in. We were having a discussion. Honestly, no, it was an argument. This was one of our actual arguments. So we've really only have had three, I'd say 2.5, 3, whatever, real arguments in our 8-year-long relationship. You probably don't believe me, but trust me, we're gonna come out with a video about it and you'll be able to see it. Are you guys there? Because I don't see y'all messages. Just say you're still here if you're still here. So anyways, we are having a discussion, and what's going on is on Wednesday nights, I go to a marriage group. Hi, Dakota, what's up, girl? I go to a marriage group that my parents run that I've started being a part of since I got engaged 4 years ago. And so my fiance would try and be in, hey, Shantae, what's up, girl? My fiance would be involved as much as he could. You know, with his job, it just wasn't always possible. He physically was pretty much never really there, but a few times. But we would do like video or speakerphone or whatever so he can kind of be a part of it. Anyways, this particular Wednesday, he happened to be here. And so I was excited because I was like, yay, we both could go to a marriage group because it's like another family to me. All the couples that attend, and like my brothers and sisters, we hang out outside of marriage group. But what I love about it is I'm hanging out with people that are where I want my relationship to be with my fiance. Like I want a marriage like they have a marriage. And so I'm choosing to surround myself with people that have the same focus as what I'm going into, instead of me hanging out with, you know, all the time with my single friends, because I'm no longer single, right? So I'm going to have to be pulling on some wifey duties. So I'm, you know, choosing to hang around with other women that are married like I'm about to be. So anyways, long story short, to get to the argument, we were working on a project. And I think I told you guys about that when we were working on a backdrop for a very large bridal show here in Dallas called the Dallas Bridal Show. We were making a backdrop for them. And we only had another day and a half to get this project done before we had to get it delivered. And unfortunately, because of my fiance's job, he couldn't get home in time or in the amount of time he wanted to get home to, you know, make this backdrop the way he wanted to. So we were running behind on getting this done. And so I was fighting in my mind is, should we stay home and just work on this project? Or, you know, he's been working all day. Should we take a break, go there, don't stay all night, come back, you know, and he can work on it again because he still has the next day to work on it. So I brought it up to him like, hey, you know, we need to start getting ready. We're going to head to marriage group. And my thing is, the only reason I've gone to marriage group without him is because he physically literally wasn't here and he physically couldn't go. But he would still participate, you know, via phone or video. I don't want to go to a marriage group by myself if I know that he's here. Like, what's the point of that? Like, the whole purpose is marriage, the both of us. So this is my thought process going into this argument we're about to have. So, you know, his response is, well, you go ahead and go with the girls. I'm going to stay home and work on this project. Mind you, he's saying this while he's sitting on the bed playing with his phone. So he's not even in the workshop working on the project, but he's saying that he's going to. But I know him. I can tell when he's tired and he's done. So I knew he wasn't going to work on it anymore. But my body language showed how irritated I was getting because I was like, are you serious right now? Like, you're telling me to pick up my kids and go. But why? Like, if you're going to be home, you could keep the kids and I could go. But why in the world would I go and you're here? Like, you're barely ever here. So obviously I want to spend more time with you. I'm not going to choose to go spend some time with other people when I can spend the time with you. So I guess as all these thoughts were going in my head, my body language was showing how intense I was getting, how emotional I was getting. And I found myself snapping and clapping at my fiance. Oh my gosh, like this, such a moment I want to regret. Because ladies or fellas who are on here, how many times does it irritate you when you're talking to someone and they just they're not even looking at you. They're just looking at their phone and they're giving you very short responses. So my tension and irritation is now building up because he's not even looking at me when we're talking. You guys can see the attention I'm getting. I'm remembering this situation. He's not even looking at me when I'm talking to him. So I just said, okay, y'all. So that was the worst mistake to ever do. Don't ever do that when you get angry. Don't physically show that out. But this is what I mean by your intention and what is perceived. My intention was to grab his attention, and my intention was to express how I don't see the point in going by myself and he stays home. I would rather both of us just stay home, you know? And so that was my intention. But because my emotions were already heightened up, and because I was already in my mind preparing for what I think he was going to say, I was coming up with rebuttals before he even said anything, putting myself in the worst case scenario that could happen. And I'm physically getting upset because there's a phone in front of his face instead of him looking at me. And so, of course, what does he do? He gets a little tense and snaps a little bit back and says, "What is your attitude about?" And I said, "I don't have an attitude. I'm irritated." So I'm literally doing all this. I don't have attitude. I'm irritated. Okay, you guys, does this look like I have an attitude? Yes. Body language in full force. So make a long story short, I walked out of the room, came in my office and said, fine, I'm just going to stay home. I'm going to ignore him and I'm going to do what I need to do. Now, you guys know. I can't keep bad attitude very long because I snap into the whole situation of reality check really quick. I've had to teach myself how to do that, how to have a 10 to 15 minute pity party and being upset or whatever emotions I want to do. And then I got to jump right out that situation. So I got out of my office because I thought that I was ready to go talk to him, but I noticed how I got out of my chair and I was slamming my office door and I said, "Thina, you're not ready. You haven't fixed your emotions yet that he's taking as attitude." Because I didn't feel I had an attitude. I just felt that I had a ball of emotions and I was trying to explain it to you and you're cutting me off. So I took several deep breaths. I went and grabbed some Oreos because just chocolate just makes me feel better. And then I walked in the room and I sat next to him on the bed. I tapped his thigh. I took a deep breath in front of him and I said, "I love you." He said, "I love you too." He's still not looking at me and he still has the phone in his face. And I'm just like, hold your emotions, hold it, don't snap at him. So I just said, "Would you mind putting your phone down so we can talk?" And I just said it just like that. And guess what he did, guys? He immediately put his phone down. So right in that second, I learned a lesson that if I would learn to control my emotions so much faster, we could get to a solution so much quicker. So I just said, "Okay, sweetheart, this is how I felt when you said to just go by myself." And I explained it to him. And he was quiet the whole time and so lovingly listening to what I was saying. And then we got to a point where we were just good. We were straight. And then we got up and we made tacos together as if we never had an argument. So many couples can't do that. They went to sleep, had an attitude, slammed doors, ignored the person, didn't talk to each other for the next 3 days. Yeah, I don't want to do that because I don't see my fiance all that often. But I'm telling you this story so you can try and see, when have you done this before? When have you prepared yourself for what you think somebody is about to say? And before you know it, you've just built up so much anger, irritation, being upset, and all this you done bottled up in your body. So your shoulders rise up a little bit, your back lean back a little bit, your hands start to verbally speak for you, the neck starts to move, or you get all close up in someone's face, or you just walk away, which is also, by the way, a physical body language when you walk out of someone's presence. Okay, so am I the only one that does that? Like, really, y'all? Talk to me. Am I the only one that within a millisecond bottles up all these kinds of emotions, which isn't what we originally intended, and then we still try and speak what our intention originally was, but because it gets lost in all this body language that we have going on, we got an attitude. We have an attitude, but we don't initially check the fact that we have an attitude. We're too busy focused on the other person's attitude and their reaction. I was way too busy looking at the fact that he wasn't paying me attention because he was on the phone, and the fact he was chilling on the bed when he should have been working on this project, and the fact that he literally was just being short with his responses and seemed like he was getting tense. But all of that was my fault. All of that was my fault. Why? Because I started with the body language that he was reading first. You know, when people say, who threw the punch first? Okay, it's the same thing. When you're in person with someone, all the senses are available, all of them. Visual, audio, touch, body language, like smell, all of it is there. And so you have to be able to control, realize, and check all of those emotions. So rewind, we laugh about it now, but when I first initially said, hey, hun, we need to start getting ready if we're going to go to marriage group, instead of getting all emotion balled up because he's on his phone, probably doing something important, instead of looking at me, and his response was, baby, you just go ahead and go with the girls and I'm gonna stay home. Instead of me responding the way that I did, if I just said, oh, well, honey, if you're not going to go, I would prefer not to go without you. We could have left it right there. And then I could have continued the conversation saying, hey, would you mind putting your phone down? Let's talk about what we want to do for dinner tonight, since we're just going to go and stay home. It could have been that simple. Obviously you don't realize that till after the situation has happened. But since that situation happened, when there's a tense situation or moment, because we're spending way more time together now than we have in the 8 years we've been together, because it's been an 8-year long distance relationship. I'm choosing to check my emotions. And so that's what I mean when I say self-reflect, look in the mirror, check your own emotions, check your own attitude, because it's not always the person. Now, sometimes it is, but this side that I'm talking about is you yourself and I. So I had to start realizing I had an internal issue I needed to fix. I am emotional. Which is probably why you guys notice I always have a whole bunch of energy and I talk with my hands, because I'm so passionate about things. But I have to control my passion sometimes, because they can go way left. Other situations, if I'm really irritated and frustrated with something and my daughter is just asking too many why questions, mama, what about this and what about this? And so if I allow her multitude of questions to irritate me, I'm going to snap at my child that has done absolutely nothing. I had to apologize to my daughter, because one day it was just a day. I was to hear with irritations and frustrations with things that was happening. My daughter came home from school and she came in, mommy, guess what? And then she'd leave for 5 minutes and come out, mommy, came this, 2 minutes later, mommy, and she just kept coming in and out of my office, my door up and shutting. And so all those things was just bottling around me. So I said, what do you want, Ariana? And I did it just like that. I still apologize to her to this day. I know I am not the only mother who has snapped in a moment's notice second at their kid because they were just feeling irritated and frustrated. And so I had to go to Ariana and say, honey, I am so sorry. I did not mean to yell at you. That was absolutely wrong of me. What questions do you have? Let me answer them for you. Then I'll sit there and answer all of her questions and I'll say, okay, great. Now, is it okay if you give mommy about an hour undisturbed that I can finish some things in my office? Then I want you and I to make dinner together. And she'll just sit there and say, yes, I can. That's awesome, mom. And she'll literally leave me alone for an entire hour. Now, had I said that in the beginning, had I said, baby, could you hold your questions for just about 1 hour? And then I'm going to get to you and we can talk about everything you want to talk about. And then let's cook dinner together. I would have never snapped at her. She would have never felt like she did something wrong when she didn't do anything wrong but be a 10-year-old inquisitive daughter. And so you guys, we have to check where we are in the moment before we respond, because it can cause the perception to not be what we intended. I intended to ask her, what does she want? But because my attitude was all way left, I snapped at her when I didn't even mean it. I mean, you guys, this can go to mother-daughter, mother-son, parent-to-children relationship. This can go to your significant other. This can go to your boss who's getting on your nerves for the day. Anyone and everyone around you, their reaction is in total reaction to your action. I meant to say that. Their reaction is in tune to what your action was, whether it was intended or not. Yes, we're going to make mistakes. Yes, we're going to snap sometimes. I'm not saying, oh my gosh, immediately eliminate that out your life. But what I'm saying is try and get yourself in the habit of checking yourself before you wreck yourself. Like, I don't even know what song that is. If somebody knows what song that is, I'm showing my age now. Write it down below. What song is it that says check yourself before you wreck yourself? Because I don't know what it is and I can't rap worth nothing. So we're not even going to try. But it's so important that we realize how our body language is, because you guys can tell when you're getting tensed up, when your shoulders start to get this, or when you lean back. Like when you physically notice that's happening, regroup, just go take a huge deep sigh. Just take a deep sigh. That is a better action that person who's irritating you can see than what you about to give them, because you got this attitude, right? So that's the first part of attitude check. I want to Ice Cube. Thank you, Dakota. I can always depend on Dakota. That's Ice Cube. So you guys, we have to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. So just make sure you're not the one causing the situation to be way worse than it could be had you just acted in the way you intended at first, versus still trying to get out your message of intention while your action gives what they perceive. Does that make sense? Okay. Now let's talk about the flip side. Let's talk about your reaction to the action of, to the action of others. So I said a little bit earlier, it's not always yourself that you have to check. Sometimes it's people around you, you have to check. There is this thing called toxic relationships. Toxic relationships. And my phone is saying low battery, but I so have it charged in. So I don't know why it's going to say that. So hopefully this doesn't cut us off, guys. If it does, hopefully I got out what I needed to say. I'm going to switch this charger real quick to another one to see if that makes a better charge. I think so. So we'll see. Okay. So what I mainly want to hone in on this about checking your surroundings is you really should monitor or do a double check on who you consider your inner circle. You should want your inner circle to be filled with people that are where you want to go, that are striving to be where you want to go, that are passionate, not necessarily about the same thing you're passionate about, but just passionate about something in life. That you don't ever want to keep yourself around people that are going to rub off on you in the not so good way. And the problem is they can rub off on you indirectly and directly. So you have to start seeing, if you notice your irritation level has increased over a period of time, or your frustration level has increased over a period of time, you might want to start looking at who you've been hanging out with, who you've been conversing with, because it may be that it's something you're pulling indirectly from them unconsciously that you're now pushing out. So sometimes it's not from the initial fault of yourself, but of unconsciously and indirectly receiving from those that are around you. And so you've got to start protecting yourself. I'm not saying put up a freaking brick wall when you meet somebody, but the more you hang out with this person and the more you start to see, believe what you see, because that's what the truth is, over what you say, because we can choose what we want to say, but our actions really say who we are. Like, they really say who we are. So just kind of, I'm not saying judge your parents or judge your friends, judge your family, judge your surroundings. I'm not saying that, because who are we to judge? Can't nobody pick up a stone and throw it at anyone. But just be aware of your surroundings and then start to make decisions that are better for you. I had a situation where I was in a communication chat with, I think, about 8 or 9 other people. And I just noticed how often they complained about other people, talked about other people, downed other people. And I'm like, why am I keeping myself in this group? Because it eventually came where they were clowning me and talking about me and downing me. And I said, I knew this was coming. And I didn't take myself out of this situation. If someone's going to talk to you about somebody else, they're going to talk about you to somebody else. Okay. It's hello. Like, we should all know that. Now, if I'm talking to you about somebody else in a very positive way, then you can take it. Then I'm going to talk about you to other people in a very positive way, because that's my behavior. I tend to not want to subscribe to YouTube channels that are all about gossip. I don't, because it's just the action of gossip. There's a difference between sharing news and then gossip. I tend to stay away from people that are always complaining. I tend to try and stay away from people that have the, oh, woe is me. Now, I'm not saying anyone who's in a bad situation is in the oh woe is me attitude. I'm talking about the ones that live off the pity of oh woe is me, and they don't ever try and get themselves out of the situation. They're just content and they're going to stay right there because they enjoy the pity parties that they're getting from people. That somebody who's not driven, somebody who's not passionate, and someone who really could care less about where they end up in your life. And none of those things are me. So I tend to kind of shh. Now, I don't totally cut off communication to where I come off really rude, but I don't choose to call them on a daily basis or hang out with them or say, hey, what's up? I'll check in every now and then. I'll constantly keep them on my prayer list and send prayers. And you guys know me. When I say I pray, I literally pray. I really do have a prayer list I go through every single morning for those I know. Dakota is on my list every single morning. Georgie is on my list right now every single morning until they say, hey, we're good. We appreciate you. It's going to be on the list. I have a 5-page back and forth list. I surely do. I'm not lying. I'll have to show y'all that one day. But it is in my journal book when I do my Bible study and when I talk with God, because I do spend time with him every single day. So you guys, this is just a live to tell you guys, you have 2 things to do with attitude. You need to check yourself. Make sure there's not something seriously internal that you need to deal with. Like I said, I had to deal with being gullible and being extremely emotionally sensitive because if you guys have ever heard of the book called 5 Love Languages, my love language is words of affirmation. So I kind of take words pretty heavy. And because of that, I have an emotional response. And so it's my responsibility to take control of those emotions so I don't end up hurting people around me that I don't intend to hurt. Lord knows I never intend to hurt my fiance. Love that man to life. Nor do I intend to hurt any of my YouTube subscribers, any of my friends. I never do. But what I have to check sometimes is my emotional reaction to something and it not hurting somebody else. Okay, you guys have been chit-chatting, so let's see what you guys have said so I don't miss anything. Dakota said, there goes my camera. I hate the fact that once we calmed down, we realized that it wasn't that serious and we could have handled it another way. I know, right? It's like, why is it always after the fact? If there was a way that we can change it before. Hey, painting the roses red. I'm so glad you're able to catch me live. What's going on, girl? You love it? Great. Chime in. What you think about attitudes? I'm so hitting home, Dakota. Self-evaluation. I have to do that often. My school made us read that. We had to read it together. Love it. Yes, 5 love languages. I love it because yes, it's technically made for couples, but it also will help you realize the way you interact with your friends and other relationships that you have. Because after taking that test with my fiance and realizing words of affirmation was my thing, I totally understood. And my dad, because he knew what my results were, totally understood why growing up, I only wanted to make him proud. Like I would do things and I would want to hear him say, honey, I'm proud of you. Just taking me out to dinner, it didn't do anything because if we just said, oh, congrats, went out to dinner and nobody said anything, it didn't do anything for me. So for me, it was my dad saying how proud he is of me or talking about me to other people in such a positive light. If my mom did that. And so I found out words of affirmation and I was able to look back at past relationships, past friendships, family relationships, all those kinds of things. Hey, Lady Days, hello to you. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday fun day. We're talking about attitudes right now. So I realized I am not that person that says sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. No, that's a lie. It's so backwards for me. I can heal from sticks and stones. Words tend to lay on me very heavy and I tend to hold on to them a lot. And so I realized that being words of affirmation, that's why I was also very sentimental. I will be sharing with you guys soon my story of what my love and passion is for Kit Kats and why I love them so much. If you guys caught my video where I did a gift swap reveal and I talked about this box, I've eaten half of it now, that's full of Kit Kats and I got really emotional about it. It's because I tie memories, thoughts, and words to things. And so it all made sense when I took the 5 love languages test and I realized that mine was words of affirmation. So because of me being so heavy on words, I also have to look at it the same way. I can be dangerous with words if I don't check myself. I can say y'all probably don't believe it, but I really can say some very hurtful, harmful things if I don't keep my passionate, emotionally sensitive self in check. One thing that I haven't told you guys about why I love doing this YouTube channel is because whenever I share things, I love to go back myself and watch my own video when I'm going through a time. I have watched my Rest in Grace, The Struggle is Real video probably 10 or 15 times because I just needed it. And the thing is, sometimes I'm talking to you guys and I don't remember what I said. I am a daughter of Christ, and there are many times that the Holy Spirit just speaks for me, and I don't even believe what I say afterwards. I'm like, wow, did I say that? That was really cool. So it's a ministry to myself when I go back and watch my videos. And I love seeing you guys comment and what you guys are saying. That totally blesses my soul as well, because it's just so important. So if anyone else is like me, what we have to do is just check our emotions. I sigh a lot now because I'm using that as my mechanism to calm myself down. So when my fiance says something, my fiance is coming from a very strict, not military, but think military, you know, he's learning how to use his choice of words, but certain words just trigger an emotion in me. And so when he says something that kind of bothers me, I have to take a deep breath because I tend to look at him a certain way. And my daughter says I have this look when I'm angry. My eyes get really big and totally steady and sharp on something or someone when I'm upset. And so my daughter says she always knows when I'm upset the way I look at her. So I'm learning how to smile with my eyes and take a deep breath before I say anything because I don't want to hurt my fiance. I don't want to snap at my children. I don't want to get irritated by my parents because they ask me the same question 20,000 times. I don't want to do that. And so myself being an emotional person, I am quicker to respond with emotions than words. And so I've got to reverse that. So that is my journey that I'm on right now, is checking my attitude, and really checking my emotions that determine my attitude. And being in realization when I have an attitude, because I tend to say I don't have an attitude. I'm just irritated. That's the same goddamn thing, y'all. It's the same thing. So you guys, thanks so much for joining me for this month's Rest in Grace topic on checking your attitude. Be sure to stay tuned on my channel and hit that notification bell because I have a very fun video that should actually be posted by now, unless, me going live has paused that video in some kind of way. But I've got quite a few videos coming up. And I'm really excited about the direction we're going with this channel. Just for you guys who are new to my channel, what I want to sign off with saying is my channel is all about the playlist. I have so many topics that I talk about, and instead of it being kind of confusing, you can just go to my profile and look at all the playlists and it will be on all the topics I talk about. So I talk about entrepreneurship, motherhood, the day in the life of a wedding planner, wedding designer, deep life messages like this, lots of giveaways and challenges. So if you're interested in a particular topic under one of those, you can just look at the playlists on my profile and they'll all be listed out so you can just catch the videos of your interest. So anyways, you guys, thanks so much for joining me on this. Please do like this video, give it the thumbs up if you enjoy this conversation, and then leave a comment below. So those who were not part of this live chat and won't be able to go back and see your live chat, just kind of for me, answer this question below is, what do you think you've learned about your attitude? So please answer that question for me in the comments below. That way, others who just get a chance to see this can read it. Thanks so much for joining me today on today's live, you guys, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.